That's what I'm saying.
It's a bunch of opportunity.
I think, yeah.
If there's anyone who wants to.
Mezuzah? Actually.
Stays on better, it looks nicer. Much more elegant.
Yeah, it's good luck.
No,
All right, Rabbi Yisai, let's start. We have a lot of words, a long daf. Easy, but long. Daf Chav Zayin, brand new parak.
Monday morning.
Hashoichet echod ba'oif ushnayim bebehema. If you shecht one siman, either the kana or the veshet, and two in a behema shchitasik sheira. The Gemara is going to ask, it's mashma, it's only b'di'evet. What else could you possibly do more than shnayim? V'ruba yishalechad kamayu, and the halacha of Ruben Kikula, if you shecht most of one siman, it's as if you shechted the entire siman. And then at the end of the Mishnah is going to repeat this halacha, and we need to understand why. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ad sheyishchoit es havridin. The Gemara explains that it's talking about a bird, that it's important, you need to shecht the vridin. The vridin, loosely translated, is the jugular vein. Here's a picture of a bird.
We had the picture.
We did on Chullin Daf Yud. In blue, this is the jugular vein. So this is the kana. You have to go through the kana. And the veshet, and you have to also hit with the knife and hit the jugular, the blue vein. I made it a little bit bluer. What?
It's such a small animal. Why would that be something that wouldn't?
Because we need to drain the blood. We need to get the blood out. The Gemara is going to explain a bird is something that you roast completely at whole, and since you roast it whole, so therefore you need to remove most of its blood, so you have to get the jugular vein and remove the blood. Now, Derech Agav, not everybody's here, but I saw a very interesting, there's a book by Zamir Cohen called The Coming Revolution or something. It's an amazing book. It's a lot of cool pictures, science, talking about the stars and evolution and all these things. One of the things he has there is a whole chapter about shchita. And basically, he describes how, he brings sources from different scientists. I just saw it this morning also in the Chinuch. The Chinuch says that shchita, the reason why the Torah says you should do shchita with a knife is because we don't want the animal to suffer. In time of the Kra, we don't want, it's an interesting thing. The Torah always tells us we have to be careful with the animals. If you see an animal struggling, you're mechuyev to help him. Even if you hate the owner, you must help the animal. You can't even take money for it. So then why all of a sudden are we shechting and cutting its neck? So he says like this, and this is a yesod, I'll say it today, and we'll just remember this, shoot it in the head. Or there's places where you take a hammer, you knock the animal on the head, you knock him unconscious, and then you kill him. So he says like this, a very sharp knife, and we're mechuyev to do a very sharp knife, and no begamim, no begimois, no anything. If somebody gets a cut with a sharp knife, it takes a while to sense the pain. It takes a few seconds. If you get cut by mistake, you don't even know. Until the blood starts coming out, you might not even notice. So you cut the neck, and within under 2 seconds, like you were saying, the blood pressure drops, it knocks the animal unconscious, he has zero pain. So from beginning to end, he never felt that he was shechted.
The animal knows.
He doesn't know.
He knows
And hold on. They don't know, and they prove they don't know. They brought in treif animals, and the animals kick and fight. Pigs kick and fight. Cows, on the other hand, will walk around there and lick the blood off a knife. They don't try to run away. They don't realize that their friends are getting killed. They don't have that understanding. But that's not the point. The point is, in terms of medically, the best place in the body to shecht an animal is to sever its kana veshet with the jugular vein, with the arteries, and it makes them unconscious immediately because there's no blood pressure. Now, here's the problem, and this is what's very interesting. If you look at a human being, or a pig, or a horse, or any tummy animal, this is, Doc, what is it? How do you pronounce it? Carotid artery. This is what we shecht. Carotid artery. The issue is that on top, the blue, the vertebral artery, whatever, however you pronounce it, right? There's another artery on the other side of the neck that you don't get through shechita, which provides blood to the brain and won't knock the animal unconscious. Oh, and what they discovered is that in every kosher animal that chews its cud, it's mafres parsa, the vertebral artery actually dumps in to the carotid artery. So if you cut the artery right here, it won't push blood to the brain, and therefore it'll render the animal unconscious immediately, under 2 seconds. You see in the sheep, the blue goes into the red. You see in a cow, there's some that go to the brain, but if you cut it here, the pressure, the low pressure, actually draws all the blood away from the vertebral artery. Whereas in the pig, it goes directly to the brain, and it lives much longer after you shecht it, and that's why it's not so humane to shecht a pig as it is to shecht. Just thought I'd mention that. Here's the diagram. If you shecht here, then the vertebral dumps into here, and everything spills out. 33% of the animal's blood spills out within just a few seconds, and then the rest within 60 or very high number. Anyways, okay, that was that. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah. Chatzi echad ba'oif ve'echad v'chetzi b'behema. You should shecht. If you shecht, not you should. If you shecht only a half a siman in a bird which only requires 1 siman, and you shecht half of that siman, or an animal which requires 2 simanim and you shecht 1.5. Shchitasi psula. Now, Tosfos points out, there's no big chiddush when you say that if you shecht a half a siman of a bird, it doesn't work, because you already said you need to shecht a roiv of a bird siman, so then of course half is no good. The big chiddush is in an animal, because in an animal you need to shecht 2 simanim. What if you do 3/4 of 2 simanim, which is 1.5? So I would think it would work, because that's actually roiv of 2. Kamash malan, that it doesn't work. This is repeating itself basically. You need the majority of 1 siman in a bird and the majority of 2 simanim in a behema. Shchitasik sheiro, the Gemara is going to discuss the repetition. Says the Gemara, Hashoichet, the evidin l'chatchiloi. It seems like Hashoichet, if you went ahead and you shechted, then you're yotzei. What exactly does it need a shecht besides the 2 simanim? Says the Gemara, the B'yevet part of the Mishnah, Hashoichet, is only referring to the first line, Echad Ba'if. If you shecht 1 siman in a bird, then it's only B'yevet. L'chatchila you should shecht 2. There's actually 3 statements in the beginning of the Mishnah. The first one is Echad Ba'if. The second statement is Shnayim B'behema. And says the Gemara, Hashoichet, the B'yevet is going on the third statement, V'rubai shel Echad Kamayu. That a roiv is considered like you shechted the whole thing. The Gemara is saying that you should really shecht the entire siman. You should really shecht the whole thing, and don't rely on majority. Kemash siman. Now the Gemara goes in, brings a lot of shitas. How do we know that shchita is in the neck? I didn't count it up, but it's something like 6 shitas or something. Omer Rav Kahana. Minay l'shchita shi minat tzavar. How do you know that you shecht an animal by the neck? We take it for granted. The word shchita means you take a knife and you cut the neck. Shenemar, all the way in the beginning of Vayikra, when the Torah starts describing to us bringing karbanos. So in Pasuk Hey, the first mention of how do you kill this animal, it says b'shochat. What does b'shochat mean? B'shochat has been a bakar. Says the Gemara that the word b'shochat is built from 2 words. Shech Chateyu. How is it built from 2 words? Here, we got to get rid of these. There's a lot of stuff going on today. It's 2 words. Shin Ches, Ches Tes. In other words, Gary has a no. Look at Gary. His mom is sheping nachas. Wow. What? Yeah. No, usually, like the next drush of the Gemara is you take 1 word and you cut it in half. Zav, chat. But over here, you're using the ches for both words. Now I could have gone red and blue, but I did blue and red. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think you should have gone that way.
Shach to bend, chat. What does that mean?
Does that mean that we're doing a drush like a remnant, or does it mean that?
Well, according to what the Gemara says at the end, it's all understood, and this is how most Gemaras go, is that we know the end game. We know, and Moshe Rabbeinu came down, Allah Moshe Sinai, you need shchita. Where do you see it? Where do you see it in the Torah? How do you see it in the Torah? Where did HaKadosh Baruch Hu miramis to it in the Torah?
Sometimes we say it's in the root of the word that you take these letters and
Yeah, but I think,
out of the root and it's similar.
I believe if the Torah just said shachat, I don't know that we would come up with this whole shchita and have Reuben and Bashkin and Badatz and say shchita is like that. We have all the laws. We know everything before. We want to see how where in the Torah is it mentioned? Sheshach, that he bends. What does an animal bend? He bends his neck. The Gemara is going to ask, he bends other parts of his body. But right now, he bends his neck. Chateyu, clean it. This is where you clean. So you cut it where he bends and you clean it out. You clean out the blood. How do you know that it means chet means to clean? The chsiv v'chiteis habayis is talking about the koyin and tzaras and neged tzaras of a house. V'chiteis habayis, you should sweep out the house. You should clean out the house. It's a lashon of cleaning. This is actually the perek of Tehillim that discusses tshuva. So David HaMelech tells HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please clean me, techateni, clean me out from my chatoim. Ve'ima miznavai. No, a tail also bends a lot. So maybe you should shecht him on his tail. Says the Gemara, shach miklal shezakov bi'inon. The word shach means when it bends down, not that it's always in a bent position. A tail is always bent, whereas the neck. What? No, so we'll see in a second that in the question it means start cutting there and end up in a place where it would die. Obviously, if you chop the tail off, he's going to live forever. I've seen a lot of cats walking around here without tails. It's not a. Here, the Gemara is going to discuss your thing. Maybe you should cut his ear. Why? Because the ear is something that stands up straight. Once in a while, he bends it around to listen. But it's a zakuf and then it's shach. Bi'inon dam nefesh v'leka. Because it says in the pasuk domoi b'nafshehu, its blood is its nefesh. So we need dam nefesh. You remember we had in Zvachim, we had dam nefesh, dam tamtzis. There's different bloods that come out. The initial burst of blood that comes out of the neck, that's the blood of the nefesh, and that's what we need. Now, if you were to cut his ear, that's not dam nefesh. That's a wound that 3 minutes later you're going to get to the dam nefesh. That's not good.
You'd have to go there. It won't kill it. So how could that be the pshat? Where you have to shech?
You do like a whole long thing. You start from the ear and you get down to the neck. It takes 3 seconds. You go like this. Nice incision. Here, let me show you. Ve'ema the korav ozil ad dama nefesh. No, maybe I could get dama nefesh if I start from the ear and I go down. Besu shihia drasa shihia. We have the 5 things. What's shihia? Real quickly. Shihia means to pause in the middle of the shchita. You take the knife through the neck, you stop for a second, and you continue. That's apostle shchita. Drasa is applying downward pressure on the knife instead of going back and forth. Chalada means to have the knife dug inside, closed from all sides. The knife it has to be visual. You have to see it. We said that the neck opens up during shchita, but if somebody pokes the animal with a knife into his neck and finds the veins in there and the convection cuts from within inside, that's chalada because the knife is hidden. Hagrama, we discussed the other day, is not shechting in the right spot of the neck or starting in a place, let's say tabas hagadol, and veering off course and ending up after the shipui hakoiva or whatever it is. That's hagrama. V'ikur, as Rashi learns, is to tear. If you have a pgim in the knife, it rips the kanan veshet rather than cutting. Those are all asur pasels the shchita minalan. How do we know? Elo gemara. We know that's halacha mishim Sinai. So shchita minatzavinami gemara. So at the end of the day, and the Gemara is going to repeat this a few times, word for word. We know shchita is halacha mishim Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu came down and said, "This is how you take care of an animal. You have to shech from its neck." Ukra l'mayasa. So then, why do we have the pasuk v'shochat deloi l'shavuya gistra? You should not sever the head. How do you see you shouldn't sever the head? From the fact that the Torah says shach chat, that you should cut it in a place where it bends and clean it. Meaning, stop at that point where you clean it. Don't go further. Don't sever the head. Don't knock off the head. Rav Yehuda Amar.
How long?
What do you mean? How long? Yeah, during the shechita. A minute after it's dead, then you can do whatever you want. But while it's alive, don't sever the head. Rav Yehuda Omar Krov v'zovachto mimokim shezov chateyu. From the place v'zovachto here, very simple. V'zovachto is 2 words. From the place that it bleeds, that's where you should break.
If you cut it, it would bleed, I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but if you saw shechita, you'd understand. And it comes out with such force, and it's shoots
we only
out.
know this because we know this. It's not.
And that's the Gemara. The Gemara is going to say that in a second.
Yeah.
Now, over here, the word the ches taf. Before it was ches tes, right? Which means to clean. Over here, chateyu means to break. It's a different word. It's with a taf. It means to break. Where do you break it? At the place that the blood comes out. My mashma da chateyu lishna de mitbaru. How do you know that it means that chateyu means to break? Dichsiv al teira val techos. If you never understood the pshat in the pasuk, here's the pshat: don't fear and don't break. You're emotionally don't break. Ve'ima michatmai. Maybe it means his nose. What else flows? A runny nose. And cows always have runny noses, so maybe that's what it means. Says the Gemara. You need that through the break shechita it starts flowing, not that it flows on a constant basis. He has a runny nose whether or not you shecht it. Maybe it means you should put a dagger in his heart, make him bleed from his heart. That's the ultimate dama nefesh. At the end of the day, we have to say that the 5 psulim in shechita, Ela Gemara, it has to be that they come from halacha mishum Sinai. So therefore, also shechita minat tzav and ami Gemara. At the end of the day, it's halacha mishum Sinai. Ukra l'mayasa. And why does it say the pasuk v'zavachta lo l'shavuya gistera, that from zav chet means at the place that you break it, that's where the blood should flow. Meaning no more than that. Don't knock its head off. Just break it so the blood should flow and no more. Mela, if I come with a device and I chop its head off, that's a pasul shechita. The Beri B'Shol Tana.
How do you see that from here?
Because you stop at the v'zav, at the flow. You don't go more than flow. V'zav chad.
You can cut off his head eventually.
Yeah, that's what he said. Eventually, after it's dead.
But that's not happening.
No, it's not dead yet. Halachically, you have to wait a couple seconds until it's. Yeah, Rabbi Schoenberg likes to say always that if you shecht and then a guy comes 3 seconds later and shoots it in the head, it passes the animal. So you have to wait a lot, whatever the shear is. This is a certain shear. I don't know how many seconds, Rabbi Schoenberg.
No, but that's to do with the blood. You need to drain the blood.
And if you shoot it, it doesn't drain.
No.
That's to do with something else. Okay.
The muscles transpire. The adrenaline starts flowing.
By the way, it's also brought down. I forgot to mention another thing, and this is obvious, but a lot of people say, and we had the case with the cow ran around the factory. Every cow after shechita, the difference I saw them shooting the cows in the head. They drop. There's absolutely no movement within a millisecond. Shechting, there's a lot of movement, and he's saying that that's just from the buildup of the calcium has nowhere to go.
Or when you shoot them.
That I don't know.
That's what you're saying.
Don't know.
That's what
No,
you're saying. You say shechita.
he didn't say. He
the
didn't go
pain
into
kicks
that.
in only later.
Hold on. He didn't go into that. He said that sometimes they miss, sometimes that. That's what he didn't say. Shooting, there's nothing quicker than shooting. We're talking about in the time of the Torah. The Torah didn't have guns then. They said, what's the best way to kill? The Torah knew that these veins are the quickest way. But his point was that scientifically they put EKGs and all these things on the animal, and they saw that even though it's moving around and it's kicking, that's just reflexes, just like you cut off the tail of a lizard, it's going to move around. And obviously everybody understands that it's not, the brain doesn't feel anything, it's just movement. So too with the animal. Fine. The very Rabbi Shmuel Tana v'shochat al turki v'shochat elo v'sochat. Now we actually just had the other day. We had in the pasuk it says v'chol kli cheres toichay, right? The whole sugi of toichay, the suspension within the ear of the kli cheres. How's cheres spelled in Hebrew? Ches reish samach. In the Torah, it's spelled ches resh sin. So you see that the sin and a samach are interchangeable. So Memela, he learns v'shachat is melashon sachat. So what does sach mean? Sachli, he spoke to me. So in other words, it comes from a lashon. You should shecht it in a place where the animal speaks. He speaks from his neck, where he makes sounds. Maybe it's tongue, because like we had gemaras that say the roiv medaber bil shaynoi. The tongue is also considered a medaber, a sach. So the Gemara being in dam nefesh v'leka. Cutting the tongue is not going to cause dam nefesh. Cutting the neck is a lot more dam nefesh. Ve'ema de kora v'ozil ad dam nefesh. So that's the same question. Maybe you start by the tongue, and eventually you end up by the other side, by the neck. V'su shid rasa chalal agrom yivikim in alon. Ela Gemara shchita minat sabinami Gemara. So ikur and all these things is halach mishmin Sinai. Shchita is also halach mishmin Sinai. Ukra l'may also. The loy l'shavio gistero. Now, the Gemara on Amud Beis is going to say, who's this Tana? And a Tana brings it from this place. The Gemara says, this Sanya, it says in Torah's Kohanim. It's a long shtickle until we get to Rebbe Eliezer. Now, one of the steps after you do shchita, you remove the skin, and then you cut it up. And they arrange the pieces of the animal. It says they arrange all the pieces. So then why does the Torah have to point out two of the parts, the head and the padar? What's padar? Padar is like literally, it's fat, but it literally looks like a blanket. It's like a white, thin blanket that's on the underbelly of the animal. It's like looks like this basically. You could pull it out in one piece. It's a nice little sheet of white. The Gemara is going to say later that you take that sheet and you cover the severed neck so that it looks nice and pretty when you bring it up to the mizbech. You don't see all the veins and all the blood. You take it so it's like a cover. So why does the Torah point out? And the Gemara is going to bring two psukim which say the same word. Haroish v'sapadar. This is pasuk ches. Es haroish v'sapadar. They are part of all the parts. You should remove the skin and cut it up. Now, l'chayra, says the Gemara, it only is referring to parts that you could remove the skin. You can't remove the skin from the head because you already removed the head from the animal, and you no longer have to remove the skin. Minayin l'Rabbi says harosh shekvar hutaz, the head is severed. Explains Rashi, where exactly did we sever the head? We didn't sever the head. You're not allowed to sever the head. Says Rashi, by cutting the two simanim, that's considered severed. It's as if it's already in a basket, it's severed. Tamaloymar es reishiv es pidroi va'orach, that the head and the peder are also included in the venitach l'nesachim. It's part of the parts. Midikol es haroish shekvar hutaz miklal the shchito minat savar. So the Gemara, according to Reb Chia, the raya is, how do you know that you shechted from the neck? Because it says that the neck is severed. Where exactly did he sever the neck? Through shchita you sever the neck, so that's his raya. Vitano, now the Gemara just asks a side question. Vitana pasuk beroishu peder, the Gemara brings pasuk ches, roish peder. Umesayim beroishu pidroi. That's a completely different pasuk. That's 4 psukim later in pasuk Yud Beis. It says roishu pidroi. It was getting out of hand. I didn't print it out today. There's just way too many of these. So the Gemara says there are actually 2 limudim from the 2 psukim, different limudim. How do we know that the head is severed, that you shech from the head? So if so, why do I need another second pasuk to say that the head is part of the nesachim? How do you know that the first parts of the animal that go up onto the mizbeach are the head and the peder, the fat? So that's why I need the second pasuk.
But it's quite clear that when they dismembered the animal to put it on the Mizbeach and the various Kohanim carried it,
Yeah.
it was carried separately. So it was really cut off at that stage.
It was already cut off, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why is it called, everything is cut up, but why is it called hittis? You going back to the vehitis? When it was dying, it was vehitis. And we said you're not allowed to do vehitis when it died. What do you do afterwards? It's, of course, everything is cut up in little parts. I mean, it's cut up on my plate. But in terms of during the shechit, it's vehitis. Now, as the Gemara, we just said that the word roish in the first pasuk, in pasuk ches, comes to tell me that this is where you shecht it. But upeder kama, the first peder of the first pasuk, the kaz rachman alamli, what do we gain by that word? Meboyle like the sanyo ketz the oisa. What does the kohen do? Choyves hapeder al beis hashchitu ma'aleyu. You use this peder and you cover the head where it's wounded. Bezeu derech kavod shel mala, and this gives honor to Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Which part?
The fact that you cover all the blood and all the exposed veins and the jugular and the chiti, if you saw what it looks, we have in the fridge, it's pretty nasty. Nobody wanted to touch it, it's gory. So you take a nice white cover, which happens to be its fat, and you cover the mokum hashchita, basically. So you see a nice head going onto the mizbeach, you don't see all the blood. And that you learn from Peder, the first Peder in Pasuk Ches. V'hai tano maisi lo mahacha. Sorry. So what I said before is a mistake. This is v'hai tano maisi lo mahacha. This is what we're looking for. V'hai tano maisi lo mahacha. The sanyo. Zois toira sa behema v'oif. V'chibeiza toira shavsa behema l'oif. V'oif l'behema. I think I might have something printed out here because it's negeh too. Yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. Zois ha-toiro. Zois toiras. Like you see, I can't read backwards. Zois toiras ha-behema ve'oif. What does it say here? V'lechol nefesh achayir imeses ba'moyim. So the Torah starts off with behema, goes to oif, and then ends off with fish. Behema, bird, fish. Zois is the word here. Now, there's another pasuk, and we're going to see that at the end of the sugya. But in the beginning of Shmini, when the Torah describes what's kosher and what's not kosher, the Torah starts off with behemoths, goes into snaper v'kaskeses, which is fish, and ends off with minaoif. So the order is different. And the Gemara is curious about the order. Why is the order different in the beginning of Shmini and the end of Shmini? Says the Gemara, Zois Torah Sabeim Avoif. V'chi be'ezet Torah Shofse Behem Aloif. So this is a hekesh. Behem and oif is a hekesh. We have some similarity between an animal and a bird. V'chi be'ezet Torah Shofse Behem Aloif Voiv LeBehema. Where are they similar? Behema mitame b'magam b'masa. We know by Tumah the complete opposites. Whatever is tummy by an animal is not tummy by a bird. Whatever is tummy by a bird is not tummy by an animal. Now what? An animal, if you touch a dead animal, an avela, you become tummy. But if you touch a dead bird, you're not tummy. A kosher bird, an avela, you only become tummy if it hits the back of your throat. And if it hits the back of your throat, all your begadim become tummy, even if somebody else put it in the back of your throat. But if you swallow a piece of tummy steak, you don't become tummy. So I see that you need shchita by a bird. Is that going to go on eventually? Can't read what I wrote here. Okay, so here's the question. It says that by animals, thanks, it actually helped me. By animals, there's a roiv shnayim. You have to shech 2 simanim. How do I know that? The Gemara takes it for granted that an animal you have to shech 2 simanim. Ask the Gemara, so maybe by a bird also you need 2. Says the Gemara, Tamaloimer zois. That's this first word over here in red. Zois is a miut. Here, put a projector on the. Zois says only animals but not birds. But how do I know that an animal is 2 simanim? So look in Rashi if you can read. Rashi dibra maskil ima behema b'roiv shnayim. Says Rashi, mid itzrich le'el rabbis is harosh kvar hutaz. Before we were talking about a head that's completely cut off. You're not allowed to cut off a head. Di b'simin echad lav hutaz karilei. Before we said that a head is considered, that an animal is considered hutaz. An animal's head is severed. How do I know an animal's head is severed? Because Rashi explained over there that the 2 simanim were cut. And once 2 simanim are cut, the head is considered severed. Oh, so if we went through all that the head is severed, meaning that you have to cut the 2 simanim. That's how I know they have to cut 2 simanim. Fine. Says the Gemara, in what area is there a comparison between a bird and an animal? And an animal to a bird? Where do we see that a bird is kosher through its neck? By Melika, in the Beis HaMikdash. That we know. So once we know that the killing a bird is through its neck, so killing a behema is also through its neck. Where do you do Melika to a bird? Through the back of its neck. And we shecht animals from the front of the neck, not from the back. Now you don't want to go through the spine. That's a problem. That's also. So how can you make the differentiation? If you're learning from a bird, so maybe you should shecht the animal from the back of its neck. It says with a vav, its neck, the bird's neck. You have this concept of mimul arpai. What's arpai? We said arpai means whatever is opposite of the face. But mimul arpai means whatever you lower down across from that arpai. In other words, it's from the back of the neck, not the back of the head. But that's only for rosh shoy. That's only for the bird. But an animal, you shecht from the front. Rosh shazeh mimul oirev, vein rosh shalacher mimul oirev. The Rebbe Eliezer, what?
Is connected to Chadas Behema. Is that package there you made before?
Oive.
You
going back to Chazar now?
No, baby.
Yeah. That what?
So, we said before that this by the Simanim also that we compared Oilas HaOiv to Chadas Behema. I forget.
Oilas ha'oiv techatas behema. Okay.
I thought that was that's really
From this, Zeus?
No, Kamishma.
And what Daf? What are you talking about? When? Where?
No, but how do you know that?
Today?
No.
A long time ago.
I'm wondering if that's the reason why we're trying to make a head here between the Chatas and
No, this is. I don't think we mentioned this pasuk. There's a general. I know what you're talking about now. There's a general pasuk that says Zois Taurus different than this. It sounds like this. It says a chatos, this and that, and we compare all chatos and chatos oiv, chatos behema, and menachas and everything, all karbanos. We compare to each other because it says Zois Taurus hamincha v'chatos v'azevach v'ashlamim. So I think that's the pasuk you're referring to. This is different. This is a hekesh between behema and oiv, nothing to do with karbanos. Now, we said before that from the Zois, tells us that you shech 2 simanim, and not by a bird. Now over here we're learning the opposite. We're learning a behema from a bird. Before we said Zois, just this animal gets 2 simanim and not a bird. So Zois was a miut, an exclusion. This gets 2 simanim, but not something else called a bird. But according to Rebbe Eliezer, it's the exact opposite. We're learning an animal from a bird. We're not going bird from an animal. We're learning an animal from a bird. And we want to say that an animal needs more shechita than a bird. So Zois is an exclusion. It's not a ribui, it's a miut. So how do I get from 1 to 2? Before we're going from 2 to 1. So I need a miut. Zois, only this gets 2, and a bird gets 1. But now that I'm going reverse, how do I learn that? Rebbe Eliezer, hi Zois my avidlei. Ilav Zois have amina ma oiv b'simin echad abbeim b'simin echad because Rachman is Zois. Says the Gemara, it is a miut. Only this gets 1, but everything else needs something else than 1. And if it's something else, then it's 2. Tani bar kapara Zois taris abbeim ava oiv hitel akosev loiv bein behem l'dogim. The Torah, like you see over here, that the bird is in between behema and fish. To say that a bird, you have to cut 2 simanim, you can't do. Why? So this is a whole new concept, something we didn't hear before. The Gemara says on the one hand, you have to compare the bird to a fish because it's the center, it's in between fish and animal. So if we compare it to a fish, there's no shchita at all. The patri b'lei klumi efshar, you can't say that it doesn't get any shchita like a fish. On the other hand, it's next to behema as well, and a behema needs shchita. Okay, so what do? We do a compromise. A behema gets 2 simanim, a fish gets 0 simanim, so the bird gets in between, it gets 1 siman. Dagim delay b'nei shchita ninu minalan. Eli mishum d'chsiv hatzoin v'abokor hatzoin uvokor yishochelem im es kol degei hayom ye'asef lahem. So over there by the mon, when Klal Yisrael complains, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "I'll give them slav. They'll be so sick, they'll be nauseated from it." So it says over there in the pasuk. First, the pasuk starts off hatzoin v'abokor yishochet. How do you kill a sheep? Yishochet. That's great. But then a second later it says ves kol degei hayom ye'asef lahem. So the Torah uses a completely different lashon. Yasef, just gather. Meaning gather, and that's enough. You don't have to shecht. It's enough just to gather and not to shecht. As the Gemara, so that's how I know that fish don't require shchita. Somebody asks you, how do you know fish doesn't require shchita? Yasef lem, it says.
It's kind of EF shot. It's underwater. You take it out, it dies. What are you going to do?
It takes a few seconds.
It's not die right away. No. A big flat, a big
Some fish die
flat.
straight away.
What are you talking about?
Not a second. There's definitely time to shecht it.
So you take it out and straight away shecht it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kill you, and it would still spear you.
Elamiyato.
Sounds pretty gory.
Elamiyato gabi slav. The Gemara has a bam kasha. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Klal Yisrael slav, quail, it also uses the same lashon. D'chsiv v'ya'asvu es haslav. And if you're telling me that asifa means no shchita, so then you're telling me that there's no shchita by a bird, and that can't be. You just proved to me that you can't say that a bird doesn't require shchita because it's right next to the word habehema, and behema requires shchita. Says the Gemara, for a bam kasha you need a bam teretz. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, when it says v'shachat has been a bakar, right? What's the lashon? Hatzayin u'bakar yishachet lahem. In the same pasuk that it used the word shchita, it says the word asifa. So if asifa doesn't mean something different than shchita, then what is it? Just say both shchita. So obviously the Torah means asifa means something different than shchita. However, by Slav, it never described anything about shchita. It just said asifa. So then you're not comparing it. There's no contrast.
But why does the Torah use the word asifa? Okay, fine. Masculine.
Because the Klal Yisrael had to gather the slav.
So what?
They were there.
It's
You don't have to catch it.
shchita here.
It's literal. When you want to catch a bird, it's a whole situation. You have to trap it. You have to shoot it. Over here, all you have to do is gather it. That's part of the chiddush of the Torah. Yeah, but I would think, gather means you don't have to shecht it. No, it means literally just go ahead and gather it and then shecht it. By fish, gather means no shchita. Yeah, because the second before that it said shchita by a ben bakar.
Is there no possibility that a slav in the mikvah
Yeah.
actually needs shchita?
The Gemara doesn't understand that. Why? Stam. It was like
I
man,
know they
like
did
man.
shchita. Maybe he's saying maybe they didn't do shchita on the slav.
So the Gemara says that it can't be. That's what he's asking. They're asking the same question.
See that? Unbelievable.
The Gemara proves that it had to be shechted because you see, for an animal you have to shecht the slav. So you're saying maybe there was a special condition in the midbar,
Why
right?
shouldn't they shecht it?
Because in the midbar they didn't do a lot of things.
Okay. Dorash says the Gemara. Dorash oiver glilolo. Dorash oiver glilolo. So some sort of transient person from Galil said a drasha. Behema shenivers minei abasha. Rashi explains anything that's created from the earth, like humans, they're strong, they're robust. What's a good word? They're zaftig. Okay, zaftig is not such a great word. Shenivers minei abasha. So in order to kill it, you need a chsher b'shnei simanim. Dagim shenivru min ha'mayim. The fish that come from water, hechsherim b'v'lei klum. They're very weak. Oif shenivra min rakak. A bird that comes from a combination of water and dirt, which is mud, rakak, hechsheroi b'simin echad. So I saw, this is for you, I was thinking about Levi when I saw this pshat, so I'll say it over for Levi. Whoever wants to, this is a little bit of a Hasidish Torah. The Torah's Chaim says that shchita removes the tumah from an animal. Because if an animal dies through the malach hamavis, then he has tumah. But if you lift it up and you do a mice of Gdusha and Shchita, you remove the Tumah. So he says, the Torah's Chaim. So he says that an animal that has starkite, like Rashi says, it's strong, robust, a cow. So in order to kill it, you have to have two simanim. You have to, in order for the human to kill it and not let the Yetzer Hara get involved, the Malach HaMavis get involved, and it kill it, if it's a slow death, then you started it and the Malach HaMavis finishes it off, then there'll still be tumah in there. And a fish that dies all by itself, he says, eventually dies. You don't need the Malach HaMavis. You don't need to shecht it. Pull it out of the water, it dies. So it doesn't even need shchita because we're not worried about the Malach HaMavis. He has no shchita over the fish. And a bird is a weak animal. So it's like in between, all you need is one siman, and that's it. That's it for the human to be nechshav as if it killed it and get rid of the Malach HaMavis. That's for you. You didn't. I see you don't like it. I'm not going to say these stories anymore. Oh, hold on. Here it goes. What? On Shabbos you have fish.
Well, fish because there was no Malach involved, so therefore that's why it was tar and its death. So therefore that's
But you need both. You need fish, basar, vidogim. Why? Because the Malach is not. Okay, fine. No ifais, right? We should have this in between thing. Okay, Omer of Shmuel Kapoitko. Also. This is the only time mentioned in Shas. Teida, Sharei Oifos Yeshlem Kaskesis Beragleim Kedogim. I actually almost pushed the print button and I forgot. I showed it to some people. If you look closely at a Google chicken feet in our days when we were kids, that used to get it at home. It became usher. It became illegal. But chicken feet. Look at it. Look closely. You'll see it looks like scales on its feet. It's one thing covering the other. So he says this is the raya that birds actually are a combination of water and earth. Their bottom is like water. It's like fish from the water. It's illegal to sell, I believe, because of the dirty. It's too dirty. Void she'eloi says Rashi. This Kuntrikoin, this Roman emperor asked Reb Gamliel a lot of questions. He bothered him with questions. So one of the questions they asked him is he was like a Talmud Chacham shtickle. They were familiar with the Torah. What comes out of the water? Sheretz nefesh chaya, a fish, and a bird. Seems like birds come from water. Alma mimayibru. And on the other hand, it says in the pasuk, "Vayitzer Hashem Elohim mino adama," from the ground. Kol chayas asada veis kol oif hashamayim. All the birds come from the ground. Alma ma'aribru. Omar leoi minura krak nivru. So he pushed them off and he said, "Oh no, it's actually a combination of the two psukim. It's from water and earth, meaning from mud." He noticed that the students are like giving looks to each other. I pushed off my enemy with straw. I gave him a shvach teretz. At the end of the day, birds were created from water. So look at this. I don't know if you can see it because it's smaller. A lot of words. So it's smaller. But basically, if you see, there's two parts of the psukim, blue and red. And the first part of the pasuk says, "Vayitzer Hashem Elokim mino Adama kol chayes hasada." Stop. What did he create from Adama? Chayes hasada. And then says the Gemara, "Veis kol oiv hashamayim v'yovel adam l'reis ma'yikroloi." The second part of the pasuk is just, I want to see what Adam Rishon is going to call them, what names. But it's not this kol oiv hashamayim comes from the Adama. It's kol oiv hashamayim brought this. Or the Gemara says, I don't like that pshat. That doesn't make so much sense because the mice, it's all in the same pasuk. Vayitzer, it's together. So that's you like the second shot in the pasuk.
What's the Havah?
Okay.
The Eis Kolei V'Shnaim is mashma. It's a continuation of the.
V'yesh oimrim, and Nachman says, "B'loshan acher amar." He said it differently. Lo yiseg more. U'b'loshan arishin amar lehem l'talmidav. Mishum d'chsiv al vayitzer. No, that really the real pshat is that it's rakak, it's mud. And what he pushed him off is, he said, the pasuk is split into two, which doesn't make so much sense because Vayitzer, underlined in red, is going on the entire pasuk. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, 7:15.
Why you want to finish it?
What? Yeah, we're 8:02.
It's a long graph. You've got to pay the crystal balls over here.
You picked me up when I was down. Oh yes, you did.